welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a pop culture podcast about TV, movies, comics, and all things geek. Our topic today is something we're calling Superhero Swap. I'll get into it in a moment, but first, I'm Zach Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
This is Tommy Smithereens.
And I'm Clifton.
So there is a little-known story about an almost trade of characters between Marvel and DC. A temporary trade, but a moment where these two companies were entertaining a swap of heroes to appear in each other's books. Sounds crazy, right? So we had an idea to look at which characters we would like to see jump companies for a few stories. We'll each list our own choices and why. But first, we wanted to get into a little bit about the real-life swap that never happened, but almost did.
All right, so around 1996, around the time that they were doing DC versus Marvel, there was like the amalgam books and all that stuff, and there was basically, much more of a shared idea between the two companies that they would, basically do books. There'd be like a crossover every once in a while. It's not that way anymore. But at one point they did this DC versus Marvel and it did really well and fans were, involved. But Mike Carlin and Mark Gruenwald at Marvel, Mike Carlin being at DC, had an idea that out of one of these events, one of these crossovers between DC and Marvel, that the DC universe would get She-Hulk for a year, and then you would get the Martian Manhunter in Marvel for a year, which again sounds crazy.
Right.
The article that I'm looking at, we couldn't tell exactly where it came from, but it's by Jim McLaughlin. It was a bunch of different places. But basically, the article also quotes like Ron Mars and Tom Brevoort. And basically, they say that it probably didn't, the idea didn't last more than like a meeting, before someone like decided that the logistics of it from a legal standpoint is, there's no way in the world to really do it.
Right.
Yeah, it sounded like people were into it, and then the lawyers are like, "Wait a second." Yeah.
Right. Because that's one of those things where for a while there was, I don't think they're in print now, but you could get like, Superman, Spider-Man, either one of those, or Batman, Hulk, or like X-Men, Teen Titans, all that stuff in a trade. And I don't think either company is willing to like meet in the middle about those anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the last one they actually had was like JLA Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like all of those trades like don't stay in print very long.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure there's publishing conflicts, who owns what and everything. You can find them used, and I'm sure those prices will just keep going up, like for used good copies.
Right.
The thing you pointed out about like this time period of amalgam of JLA Avengers, the DC versus Marvel, Marvel versus DC. The thing that the industry was going through was a complete collapse.
Yeah.
At that point in time. And I think like, everyone's like, oh, like this stuff sounds great. Like it's fun. Why don't they do that? But I think it was desperation was the only reason they ever did it. Is like, Marvel had either already filed for bankruptcy or was on the path to bankruptcy.
Right. I was about to say that because Marvel at that point was really experimental with the things that they were doing.
Yeah.
Right. This would have been 96, 97-ish, right? In that time period, right? So this would have been the aftermath of the amalgam stuff, right? Yeah. So okay, 97-ish.
Yeah.
And so like, the whole comic book market was in free fall. Like it was going down, taking both the big companies with it. Mm-hmm. And so it was that desperation that I think made them be like, oh, okay, we can get along.
Sure.
Like, let's see what happens if we play together. Because they needed something that both of them could hype and sell books on after the speculator bubble burst in the mid-90s.
Right.
And so I think that's why we got some of those things at that point in time. And another reason why, besides the corporate entity changes that have happened, why it's not going to happen again is the market would really have to become that dire, that desperate for the companies to agree to let their toys play together in the same sandbox again.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you guys have checked, but superheroes appear to be pretty profitable these days.
Yeah.
So
They're much more so than before.
Yeah. So She-Hulk and Martian Manhunter are interesting choices in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my feeling there was that they wanted it to be characters that were known enough and popular enough that it would make waves. Like it would make some PR waves across media. And She-Hulk's got Hulk in the name, so it's automatic recognition. but they didn't want it to be someone too popular that they might have to worry about what would happen, like to the image
Right.
of that character while it was in the other person's hands.
Right.
So they were aiming for like a known B-lister. and that's how they settled on those two.
Right.
Besides, maybe they were like, yeah, they're green, so might as well.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Let's just trade the green characters.
Yeah, and one of the quotes I was saying I saw too was also like both of these characters, they thought, at least the way they remember it, was that they didn't have a whole lot going on in the set. Like they both didn't have their own title at the moment, and so it felt like, you know, a calculated, safer risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the article itself, Ron Mars is quoted as saying, is one of the writers, says, you know, the She-Hulk is basically a Lady Hulk, right?
Yeah.
And the Martian Manhunter is like well known enough. He's like Superman with sort of powers like Superman and more, but
right, he definitely had a history in the comics.
Yeah, like
right.
But like Clifton said, he's not so he's not so important that we couldn't, you know, have him spend a year somewhere else.
Right.
So yeah, I never heard about this. I've been working in the comic shop for as long as I did. I never, around this time, never heard this. I mean, the article says that it was, you know, it's you know, it's internet-ish, right? I think we're on the cusp of the internet at that point.
Right, yeah. The fan communities are just forming big.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you hear a lot of scuttle, you know, a lot of, you know, people have a lot of theories, people have a lot of rumors when you're working in a comic shop. So it's one of those things where I would have thought I would have heard something about this, but I heard nothing of
right.
up until,
like it would have come off of like Ain't It Cool News circa 2000 or something.
Yes. Somewhere it would have come up, but I'd never, like, this is the first I've heard of it. And this was like a year or so ago when it first popped up.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the idea alone of trying to put like what they would possibly do with, you know, either character in either universe is compelling to me. I know I would have been on board. I would have bought all of it.
Right.
You know, because I like the She-Hulk and I love Martian Manhunter, so I would have absolutely been, you know, all over whatever happened.
Yeah.
I wonder how much freedom they would have had it happen, right? Because the thing that jumps out at me is Martian Manhunter. It just seems so natural to play with the Skrulls with him.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right. Shape-changing green aliens.
Yeah, exactly. But this would have been weird. I think.
Yeah.
This would have been really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely, certainly very, very, very cool, I think. And, you know, and I think that this would be huge news and makes huge waves if at any point, you know, if this was even discussed today, I think it would be massive, massive news.
Right.
But yeah, I just don't know how it would work.
I don't know if it'll be massive news. Depends on who pens it. The only reason I say that is because whenever DC takes over a property, introduces new characters to it, they don't necessarily integrate it well. It depends on the insight of the writer or who prepares it within that universe.
Mm-hmm.
You could say the same for Wildstorm comics and how they were popular, but when immersed in the DC universe, it suffered that same, what do we do with them now? Like, to me,
Right.
DC has a history of that. You see
Right.
Captain Marvel, I always mess up the name. The Charlton universe?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that. Also, I mean, great characters in their own respective universes, but the integration is always difficult. So unless they prepare them to be something of a big deal or carefully crafted how they would navigate through that universe, I'm not sure I'd be that excited as to have them in that universe, unless it's, to me, a bigger name or a more defined character.
I agree with you to a certain extent. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's tough for it takes a while for a writer or an artist to come along. Like I'll give you an example with the childhood characters, like with Blue Beetle. While I really like the solo series they gave him coming out of Crisis, he really doesn't become the character that we, you know, as Ted Core that we know and love per se until the DeMatteis Giffen run on Justice League, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And even it's a weird contrast because both those books are coming at the same time. And in his own book, he's much more of a superhero. Like he's definitely played straight ahead as a superhero, but he's more of like, you know, goofy kind of comic relief. And, you know, yeah, he's a super in the Justice League book, but he's not anywhere. The characters are very different. So,
Right.
Yeah. But I'd be more excited if it was, unfortunately, an A-lister. Like, let the shock of an A-lister come into that universe. Then people start turning heads as to why would they would garner such a higher name and what kind of damage or help they will provide in that universe. That's that because with the Amalgam universe, as much as we wanted to see all those fights from those conversations people had in comic stores, when it came down to it, none of those books are worth anything now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It depends on the treatment of what they're going to do with the character and how exactly they're going to integrate it in such a way that would compel me to feel that it was something bigger or even finite in that regard.
Yeah, the thing about this as a topic to me that jumps out at me is that like the idea that it was discussed seems to be more seismic and huge than I think any story that they could have done as the result of these talks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
the idea of them entertaining this is like, whoa. And then I just feel like, I mean, without an A-lister, I'm not saying anything like I love Martian Manhunter. She-Hulk is great too. I think that really is an understatement to say like she's just a female Hulk.
Right. No,
like,
I agree.
she is so much more than a female
Right.
Hulk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The characters have very different vibes or very different
definitely.
purposes.
I mean, the other thing to consider at that time is Byrne has basically given us the modern what we most people take for a long time what most people take as what Jen Walters or She-Hulk is, right?
Mm.
And if you look at Byrne's run, because I mean, again, she does super heroic stuff, but Byrne's book is goofy, and she's fourth walling long before Deadpool, right?
Yeah,
like that's so much of what her book is her just being it's fun, and she's been goofing around, and she's fourth walling long before he does. So it's interesting to see if that had been the take,
right?
Because you have some different Byrne's on the book for a while, and then he's off the book for a while, and then he comes back. So it's one of the things where that was the last where she might have been after that was maybe it was Fantastic Four, which I guess I'm trying to think where she might have been. She might have been in Roger Stern's Avengers at that point, so she'd be more straight ahead superhero stuff. But if someone wanted to take the fourth wall approach to the DC stuff, that to me would have been interesting because DC didn't really have, other than say like Ambush Bug.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Ambush Bug and what Batmite?
Not so much, but definitely Ambush Bug. Definitely Ambush Bug could have been.
How fourth Wally was Lobo?
It depends on the book.
Yeah,
depends on okay. Depends on the creator, I suppose.
Yeah, it wasn't more so a staple with the character, but more along the lines of what the writer did in order to get more of a reader on Lobo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I was thinking about this, though, like what you were saying, of just like how bizarre it is to think that this even made it to actual talk, like got to lawyers. Like these talks actually made it to the company lawyers.
Right.
To be like, how doable is this? And I was trying to think of what the like atmosphere of both companies was at the time. So this was, 10 years before Disney bought Marvel. So Marvel was still an independent enterprise of its own. But DC was part of Warner Brothers. I was surprised when I actually looked up when Warner Brothers bought DC because it was 1969. Warner Brothers has owned DC for more than 50 years now, which I did not realize. I knew it had been, I guess, most of my life, or I guess all of my life, because I'm not that old. But I'd always thought it had been a long time, but I had not realized it had been that long.
Right.
So, yeah, like that kind of surprised me that it was in Warner Brothers corporate hands. And it wasn't just like independent Marvel and independent DC talking about this, that there was some corporate overlords involved here.
Actually.
But I think Warner Brothers, like DC was kind of the black sheep of the Warner Brothers family for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. But that's interesting that it goes that far that back, because that's in that after what? Adam West Batman?
Yeah, that's
that's part of what sparked it.
Yeah, they saw some potential there.
I mean, I haven't read this anywhere, but this is just my thinking of it. I feel like the fact that they were both at the time based out of New York, right? Which they're both out of California now, because of the movies being profitable and being huge and being such a main thrust of what it is they're doing. But I think the fact that they're both in New York at the time in the 90s were like, these guys all like even though they're Marvel and DC, like the guys who worked there all knew each other, and could would play softball together and hang out at bars together and stuff like that. I feel like that may be an important component to this happening. That
And most of them,
you know,
most of them would just cross the street at different times in their careers to work for each company.
yeah.
But what's his name? The editor of DC used to be the former assistant of Grunwald at the time.
Oh, you're talking about Carlin?
Yeah, Carlin used to. Yeah, Carlin
Yeah.
used to be a former assistant to Grunwald.
Mhm.
So the fact that they talked and that would happen as a result of their friendship and how he came up, so that it makes more sense.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, my thing again, like I said, the bigger question mark for me would be the Martian Manhunter in the Marvel universe, just because I don't know what his function would be. I mean, most of your telepaths in the Marvel universe are all in the X Mansion,
Right.
Yeah.
so granted, he's got a million more powers than that, but still,
Yeah, you seldom get so many. You get a character with so many powers in Marvel.
right?
Yeah.
I feel
There's
like
that too, yeah. So I don't know what his deal would be. I mean, granted, I'd like to see it, but at the same time, that one was stumping me for quite a while. I still don't really have a good firm answer on what I think he would have ended up, or I imagine he, something Avengery, but Avengers wasn't that big. Wasn't that big. I mean, it was a big property, but it wasn't big like it is now. X-Men was still, still the big.
I mean, a lot of those characters were going to get killed off. Relatively, right? Heroes Reborn is coming down the pipeline. I mean, like X-Men was the big thing at Marvel at the time.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's weird to say, but I mean, yeah, Iron Man, Captain America, those characters were not necessarily what you thought of when you thought Marvel. At least if you were 12,
right. Well, I mean, that's a pretty good point. It's one of those things where if it had been right around Heroes Reborn or right after Heroes Reborn, depending on the timing, you could have had a world that could have really used him.
Mm-hmm.
Could have it could have been a chance for him to shine in a book of his own rather than a team book.
Well, refresh my memory real quick. Is there any prominent characters from Marvel? I mean, in Marvel that are Martian?
The only thing, the only Martian stuff they've really had was like the stuff that's tied into Killraven.
Yeah.
Which is partly like, as far as I know, partly like War of the Worlds ish. Like, I don't know.
I mean, is that actual Marvel universe or just like a property they had?
It's a property. I think it's a property that they I think they owned at one point. I don't know what the deal is.
Where's Impossible Man from?
Pop-Up.
Yeah, not Mars.
No.
Yeah.
And then there's also the it's been teased the idea that he might actually be from the fifth dimension, like Mixie.
Yeah.
Okay. God, it's been forever since I've read.
Yeah. So
yeah. All right. So let's get into our own picks. So we each have like 3 pairs of characters that we would like to see swap,
right?
Temporarily for a year. I'm not saying I want to see those characters there permanently, but maybe you guys are. I'll open it up to you guys first. I'll go last. Frank, you want to go first since you started us off? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go first. So my first thought was I'd like to see Captain America in the DC universe.
Okay.
And the thought that I had was that most of the DC stuff, Marvel not so much. Marvel has always had like S.H.I.E.L.D. as your big government agency. And yes, there's been stories like, Hydra's inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. or, there's a shadowy thing against Nick Fury. I don't think that Marvel, like DC, has the same amount of shadowy kind of like Task Force X or Suicide Squad or the DEO or any of those type of organizations. And I just thought for like having a year of, Cap arriving in the DCU and finding out that the Suicide Squad is a thing where they send supervillains out to do stuff would be so against his moral compass.
Right.
So I'd like the idea to see Captain America versus the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And then the idea of like, I'd like to see Steve Rogers go up against Amanda Waller, not like physically, but like in the, just confrontation wise.
Right.
Not to mention the fact, Superman, along with like Superman or the Watchtower, any of that kind of stuff, or whatever the JLA base is now. But I thought it would be a cool idea.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of fights over there with Cap and Deadshot, and Cap and Rick Flag would be neat too.
Yeah,
that would be a fun conversation.
Well, I mean, Marvel didn't really have. The other thing I was thinking was Marvel had. Marvel has like the Howling Commandos, right?
Yeah,
right.
And they have some of those kind of war books, right? But it's not like DC, where DC, like all the way up until Crisis, had GI Combat and Haunted Tank and the Losers and
Right.
you know,
Unknown Soldier.
right? Yeah. DC had a lot of those characters, and a lot of that stuff was, you know, went on long past, you know, what you would think would be the era for that stuff. So it'd also be interesting to see, you know, Cap, you know, run into those characters.
Right. And some of those characters were created by Jack Kirby, who
Right.
created Captain America. So there's
Oh, sure. Yeah.
some built-in, like a natural combination there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my first choice. I thought was Captain America. I thought Captain America would be really cool to see in the DCU.
Who's your DC to Marvel?
Oh, we're doing it right in a row?
Yeah. Well, let's do pairs.
Oh, okay. DC to Marvel, I wanted to put Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Oh, man.
That's why I said it. It's like, oh, we're doing them all at once? Okay. Except for the okay. No, I thought the idea of because again, I was thinking about what both, you know, what either side has or doesn't have. And I don't think that Marvel really has kind of I mean, not right now, as like a wide-eyed character.
Okay.
And I think is the idea of young Billy Batson and or Captain Marvel being in the Marvel universe.
Right.
Also commonly known as Shazam now.
Right.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also one of the ideas of just the idea of like a Captain Marvel with Marvel and or Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel and or Ms. Marvel, you know, at that point would have been Carol Danvers. You know, there's a lot of mileage out of that too. But just the idea that, you know, I mean, at the time, I think Tommy, Power Pack was still a thing, right?
Yes, it was. Or still is? Yeah.
I mean, but I'm saying they were kids still then, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you could have got that. They could have, you know, Billy Batson teamed up with Franklin Richards, you know, a lot of your kids. I think it'd be kind of cool to see, you know, this whole, you know, Captain Marvel kid wish fulfillment thing, and then see the Marvel universe through his eyes. Because I think a lot of it, he would just be like, this is really cool.
Right.
Right.
You know? So that was my other thought, was that the two captains would switch.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting choices. I like your thought process behind like you know where they would fit and what they would do, like who you would want to see them sort of like mesh up against.
Yeah, I just like I said, I was racking my brain to think if there was anybody at Marvel, especially at that time, that would have been, you know, I mean, you're talking, you know, Marvel is fairly, I mean, you know, like we said, they're fairly experimental. So the idea of a kid that becomes an adult seeing the Marvel universe for the first time would be, you know, pretty experimental, I think.
Right.
And there's a long historical and legal story of why there's a Captain Marvel at DC Comics that's no longer Captain Marvel because he wasn't there originally. They acquired him from someone else after driving that other company out of business, and then Marvel got their own in the meantime. So we won't go into all that now, but
yeah,
there's Captain Marvels everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man,
although not anymore because now it's Shazam.
There'd be lawyers all over that trade, though, Frank.
Sure.
Oh man, even more so than just the Marvel and DC swap. That'd be we got this now too. All this trademark stuff that Cliff was talking about. Oh man, the hourly rate, the billing on that one is going to be huge. All right, who's up next?
I got one.
Okay,
this is one you were saying awe about when Frank said his.
Well, mine was a pun. I was going to have Captain Marvel for Captain Marvel, but that's just that, you know, every time they call a name, it's somebody else. That would have been hilarious. But this whole thing was difficult because I was stuck between using B-listers, like the original premise. But then I was like, hence my argument. It shakes it up more when you have a pivotal person or one that's deeply invested in another universe to see how they would mesh.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Tommy. Yeah.
That was definitely a thought I had going on to it too. Like I was thinking, like when this came up, it was definitely B-listers for both of those. But yeah, for the sake of this exercise, it's fun to swing bigger.
Yeah. Let's say the lawyers liked each other and both people wanted to play, you know.
Right.
I'm gonna start with my Lord. One that I thought about, I would love to see.
Okay.
Is from DC. I'd pull the Reverse Flash.
Ooh,
okay. Reverse Flash to Marvel. Got it.
And from Marvel to DC, I'd use Kang the Conqueror.
Interesting.
Now, to me, for the Reverse Flash, the reason why that jumped up at me is because as much as there's speedsters in Marvel, there is nothing comparable on the same level of speed in the Marvel universe.
Right.
So the length of villainy this Joker has at that speed
Yeah.
would be astounding to see how they would stop such a damn near cosmic force of speed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to see how the Avengers tackle it. Like, could the Surfer actually stop someone like this? You know, or just the level of cosmic entities, or what he would do given in this playground in order to do what he wants to do, or who would he take out, or who would he maybe even kill?
Right.
And then for Kang, I picked Kang because of DC's rich history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How he would manipulate what era at what time to take over the world, if not the universe, you know?
Right.
What I like about your picks is that they kind of occupy a little bit of the same gimmick, but from different angles a little bit. Like they're both very time based.
Yes.
Bad guys. I like, and what I also think is kind of neat is they each have, by their respective stories, kind of have like a creative in to be like, oh, here's how you explain how Kang gets to DC. Here's how you explain the Reverse Flash gets to Marvel. I actually think that's really cool. I like these picks a lot, Tommy.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, again, I would buy all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd sign on for all of it.
Yeah. I do feel like the Reverse Flash in Marvel would be horrifying.
Extremely.
Because it's like, if Quicksilver isn't fast enough.
Who would you throw at him? Yeah.
No, it would be one of those things I think it would be kind of like almost like a recruitment would go on with the Marvel villains, trying to get him to be part of their team.
Yes.
I think they would be a coveted asset. I think that'd be really cool. But the thing about that I think is interesting about Kang, beyond the fact that it's just a really cool choice, is that in when they were going to do JLA Avengers or Justice League Avengers the first time, Kang was one of the villains for that.
Okay.
So they were going to.
Yeah,
I think
you're right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I definitely forgot about that. You're right.
I think it was going to be him and like the Lord of Time from DC, which is kind of a similar thing, but not anywhere near as cool as Kang.
Yeah,
he'd be dangerous too in DC. He'd be super dangerous. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where just from a standpoint of, like you said, the rich history of DC and all the stuff that he could go and do, and DC loves to do the books about, gathering various, almost like Avengers Forever, where they gather various heroes from different times to try and fight whatever. So I think they could do. I would love to see a Justice League Forever with Kang as the villain in DC for a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with these, Tommy. I like these a lot. These are you came out the gate really really good with these. Like, I want to see what else you have.
Okay.
You're making me feel bad about my choices now. I'm looking at my list and I'm like, man, I don't have anything that good.
Yeah.
Oh, no, if you saw my through line of what I changed it to, because there's a couple other villains that I would have loved to see in there, but I was like, nah, that didn't work. I mean, it works, but the comparable what they add and what they're capable of, like I'll mention a couple other stuff, but they're not. I think I came out the gate too hard on that one. But yeah.
No, it was good though. It was good, man. There's so many possibilities there.
Oh, indeed.
All right, Clifton, who you got?
So I'm going back to close to where this all started. Instead of She-Hulk, I'm just going for Hulk.
Yeah,
I'm just going for Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Let's just put Hulk in DC.
Yeah.
Because like DC just doesn't have anybody that fills quite that same chaotic good energy.
No.
Right.
That Hulk does. Like they don't have like just a monster for good.
Right.
No.
That just rampages through the DC universe.
Hulk was definitely on my list of like characters I thought about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the idea of, like you said, there's a lot of like Hulk type clones like Blockbuster or that kind of stuff at DC.
Yeah. Solomon Grundy.
But they're bad guys. They're all bad guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Grundy too. Yeah. It's one of those things, but again, like for sheer like ferocity and strength, it's not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
They have a lot of strong characters too. They have a lot, like, Wonder Woman strong, Superman strong, Supergirl, all those, but nobody whose thing is strength.
Nope.
Only, right? Yeah.
Nope.
No, that's a good point. That's a good observation. Okay. So, Hulk to DC.
So, like, Hulk to DC, because I do think it would be funny. Like, I think it would be very interesting to see Hulk on the Justice League.
Right.
And like Batman having to learn how to deal with Hulk like Captain America and Iron Man and Thor have. Like,
Right.
Right.
you know, they've gotten used to it over years and years, but I'd like to see like Batman just have to deal with it and see like, how do we make this work?
Right.
The adjustments he would have to come up with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just like, you know, just trying to figure out how to have someone like that on the team. And I mean, Superman too, just how all of them would have to deal with this chaotic good. Like I said, like this monster for good. Now for the flip from DC to Marvel, I was trying to go for somebody like in my mind, they have similar vibes, but they're not like analogous characters at all. But it's Etrigan the Demon.
Yeah.
To Marvel.
That's a good one. That's a good one too.
And one, like, this Etrigan the Demon is another Jack Kirby creation, so you know there's lots of natural places for him in the Marvel universe because Jack Kirby created so much of the Marvel universe. But Etrigan would totally fit in like that one super horror corner of the Marvel universe that's inhabited by like Blade and Werewolf by Night and Man Thing, and Etrigan the Demon would fit perfectly in there. Like, would just fit right in there. And also, I think a Doctor Strange and Etrigan the Demon team up would be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
It would be. Yeah, it would be.
He could have interaction too with like the Eternals and stuff like that because he's also kind of like he's just been around forever.
Right.
Yeah.
You know
also
what I mean? Another Jack Kirby thing. Yeah.
So would he be, Clifton, would he be on a team or would he just be soloing it around, kind of doing like a Marvel team up?
I was just picturing him soloing around like a lot of those horror ones did for a while.
Okay. You wouldn't like put him with, like, they wouldn't bring together the Legion of Monsters and put him with like Morbius and Man Thing. And...
Oh, I mean, that would work too, of course.
Or the Black Knight wouldn't recognize him or something.
Yeah, there's that too, yeah.
Black Knight's like, you again.
Yeah,
right. No, that's another good one too. Man, you guys are putting me to shame because this is going to be a letdown now. I mean, the cool thing is that you guys are all kind of approaching it the same way I did because I was looking at it as like, what's really the appeal here? Because, you know, I'm like, really, it's what character do I want to see interact with other characters from this company? Like, really, I think that's the crux of the appeal to me. But I did also like, I didn't want to go for like the cheap, like you know, Hawkeye and Green Arrow. Like, you know, I just didn't want to play like the opposites off of each other.
Right, like the perfectly analogous ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I did try and stay like low. I didn't want to go, you know, Superman and stuff like that. So, for this first round, I picked Guy Gardner, the Marvel. Right?
Okay.
Because I like the backstory of he was essentially going to be the first Green Lantern from Earth, but Hal was closer, so the ring just went to him, right? Okay. And so that is kind of this is a moment where Guy gets to be the only Green Lantern in a world, and I thought that could be interesting. I thought that there could be some interesting play with like the cosmic side of things, or like he can interact with the Nova Corps and stuff like that. So I was like, there may be some legs there.
No, I like that. My only question is, did you work out how he was going to recharge his ring?
Oh yeah, I know. It's hard. It is one of those things. I'm like, is this a story of just today?
Right.
Or is there some untapped quasi version of the Green Lantern on, you know, in the Marvel universe that we don't know about, that nobody's kind of cracked?
Or he brings the lamp with him and only has as much power as it lasts.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's like his phone's running out of power and he can't charge it.
I think that would be an amazing story. Knowing that he knows it's a finite charge, so he gets more resourceful with every day he lasts longer. Oh my gosh, that'd be great. And then, you know, just not knowing when he should use the ring. And then it comes to a moral question. Like, if somebody's going to get hit by a car, does he use the ring to save their life, or does he think there's going to be a bigger threat that he can stop? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's great.
I'm feeling better about my pick now.
Well, the other thing is, I'd like, you know, the idea of having it. I mean, because he's bravado anyways. The idea of getting in over his head and then just bluffing through the situation without actually using the ring at all.
Yes.
Yeah, and seeing him butt heads with Tony and other characters and you know, Star-Lord and whoever. I just think like it would be like he would piss off everybody there too.
Sure, well,
which
of
I
course.
think
I mean,
would be
that's
fun.
that's his thing. I mean, my other thing is like, would you have again? My question for this and for all of them is, do you want him to? Is he going to join a team?
Can he be a team player with those people?
I feel like he would think he's the greatest thing in the universe.
Well, he always
That makes it even better,
right? Like,
I'm always That's he always does. So
yeah.
So Batman punches him out in the classic Justice League bid.
Yes.
Who in Marvel would be the one to punch him out?
Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. For him to piss off the patient guy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Okay. So Guy Gardner to Marvel. This is a weird one. I'm sorry, guys. I'm picking the Blob to DC.
Okay.
So the X-Men villain mutant Blob.
Fred
to
Dukes.
DC.
Because I understanding I don't know what you do for a year with him. I don't know, but like I want to see him fight Superman
Okay.
and Wonder Woman and the Justice League, because honestly I want to see what they would do.
Right.
Because like you can't move him.
Sure.
That's
kind of its whole deal, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
How are these physical characters gonna be able to handle this guy who's just gonna stand there and be like, no, I don't want to go. Make me.
I want now that you've mentioned it, I like the idea of the Blob. What about Plastic Man versus the Blob?
Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun too.
Right? Because what's Plad's gonna do?
Right. Exactly.
Right? I mean, even I'm like, if you got a solo issue with Plastic Man and the Blob, how does he stop him? Can he stop him?
Yeah.
No.
But no, I like that. I mean, the other thing is, there's very few mutants in DC, so that would be kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
The idea of having a character that's a mutant over there. Because I thought about that too, but I thought, I tried not to have people that I knew. I mean, granted, with JLA Avengers, it's like that book has got every single character that's ever been at that time. Every character that's been in the Justice League or the Avengers. So it's kind of, but I mean, like your typical. I thought about somebody from the X-Men, but I'm like, no, they've met the Teen Titans, so
right.
Try to keep it to stuff that actually hadn't been quite so. I mean, obviously Captain America's in the JLA Avengers one, but still. But yeah, no, I think Blob's I don't think Blob's bad. I think Blob's a great choice.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Again, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Again, would it be a solo situation, or would you have him hook up with like the Secret Society or?
It's just one of those things. I think this could have so easily been Juggernaut, and I just feel like Juggernaut would not have been fun because we have an awesome Spider-Man story.
Yeah,
where he fights him, and so I feel like Superman fighting him would just be not as interesting.
I think it'd be just derivative from what's his name, Doomsday, having Superman fight him.
There's kind of a Deathstroke thing, like what we were talking about a couple episodes ago, where Frank, you and I were always saying like Deathstroke is kind of like for a while was like nobody's using the potential of this guy, and now he's everywhere. But I mean, but at the time, and it's kind of one of those things where like Blob can be kind of a bigger problem, I think, than he's made out to be.
Well, I mean, there's also the whole thing more than Juggernaut. There's also that he's also got that bully thing.
He does.
The Juggernaut's got some of that, but it's mostly directed at Xavier. It's mostly Chuck's problem. It's not everyone's problem. The X-Men just happen to be in the way of him getting to Xavier. So, usually
there's no nemesis on the end of his.
No, I think Blob would just. I mean, Blob, I think would have a good time just
being a bully.
Yeah, being a bully.
I just like the visual. I just like the visual too of them fighting a guy standing there.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I can see that. I would buy. There's so far no one's named anything I wouldn't have bought at the time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I know. I'd buy all of this. This would have been in my pull list for sure.
It's awesome. The Frank seal of approval.
Yeah, I would have.
So let's move on to round 2.
I kind of had a lot of mixes.
Okay.
So you want a hero or a villain?
Do villain.
Oh, okay.
Unless your villain's the good one, then save it.
Okay. Well, no, my good one is neither, but you'll see why. It's a big surprise. Villain. Okay, I'm gonna go. Villain. I'm kind of rescinding that because of what Frank said earlier with JLA and Avengers, because this character did appear in there, but not in a threatful way, just as a part of the JLA roster is what they went up against, but I would love to see Starro in the
Okay.
in the Marvel universe, only because they fought big threats, you know.
Yeah.
You mean more so than in JLA Avengers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
I love them to underestimate Starro, thinking he's like Fing Fang Foom or just a
Right.
big starfish, you know.
Right.
And all of a sudden he spits all these mind controlling things.
Right.
I just like to see, because Marvel has a lot of street level people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would love to see how they would deal with this mind controlling alien that looks like a big monster, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see craziness of it until they get it under control. I just love to see that.
Okay.
And then and I thought the amalgam with that was Venom.
Okay. Venom to DC.
Not so much Brock's Venom, but the symbiote
Right.
in the DC universe.
Interesting.
Who would be a good host for the symbiote? Like who would the symbiote get obsessed with in the DC universe?
And that's what I was thinking, because I wouldn't throw it to Superman because that's just the easy
Right.
thing. But it would move throughout certain people. And I was trying to think who would be the first victim of Venom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was racking my brain.
I'll tell you what, though, it may be repetitive, but there's already somebody who has been inhabited by an evil entity and turned bad for a little while. And we know he's susceptible.
You mean Jordan?
Yeah, Hal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Right.
Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
No. Just because it's been done. No.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. But he's a heavy hitter. He's a heavy hitter that I think also you would not be, you wouldn't think twice to be like, oh, like he could withstand it somehow.
No, you're right.
Right.
You're
You know what I mean?
But to me, it'll either be the Flash or Nightwing. It had to inhabit somebody who was altruistically good, that people wouldn't believe would commit such things.
Okay.
I think it's a bigger push, and I don't want it to be Superman.
Okay.
You know?
Gotcha. You know, it'd be a fun one though too.
Who?
Harley.
Hollywood. No, oh my God, Harley would be
fun, right?
It'd be tremendously fun, because I don't think she'd want to get rid of it.
Right. Yeah, I don't either.
No, Harley would be a great threat to it, because if she was hard to catch before,
yeah, she would bond with it instantly. Like just okay, awesome.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, no, I
don't
like
think
these.
she'd be that much different, except with the hard subset of new powers. But yeah,
I like these too. Yeah, you went with space entities for this one. Very nice.
Yes.
Good pulls, man.
Yes, yes.
I was thinking villains. I'll go villains this round. I was thinking for DC, and this goes kind of with what I was saying before, since I wouldn't plan them in the same time, but if I'm going to bring Captain America, I might as well bring the Red Skull.
Okay. Very cool.
And the idea being, again, that most of the more like war book stuff granted there's a JSA, but I'd like to see the JSA go up against Red Skull. I mean, a lot of their stuff is, you got the more realistic war stuff, but you also have the JSA, and, the JSA has some, and for whatever reason, there's not a lot of, actual Nazis in DC stuff. There's like Perdegaton, which is like, a sort of like, fill in for it, or you have straight up Hitler. Those are like the two choices.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's like the JSA is going up against the Spear of Destiny, and Hitler's got it, and that's why Superman can't invade Germany, blah, 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 or the Spectre, whatever.
Isn't there like a bunch of Nazi guerrillas in the DC universe somewhere?
Is there really?
Yes, somewhere along the way there were.
There's a Captain Nazi also, right?
Right. I mean, if you're getting
literally Captain
He's
Nazi?
not used often anymore.
Yeah.
That was from the Fawcett purchase with Shazam.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, the Fawcett stuff for sure is Captain Nazi. You're right there, but I mean, again, the idea that you could use the Red Skull, I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just because who wouldn't want to see Jay Garrick punch the Red Skull about 900 times?
Right.
Yeah.
In the middle of World War II, I would.
Yeah.
Again, I would buy that book.
Yeah. Wildcat screaming at the Red Skull. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Throwing him off a dais. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was one that I thought. And then for the other villain, if you're gonna go, if you're gonna go big and give this guy a world to conquer, who doesn't want to see Lex Luthor in the Marvel universe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to see Lex arrive in one of his power suits, whichever one you want to choose, whether it's the actual suit or the purple and green one.
Whether it's a 3-piece or armor. Yeah.
Sure. Step off, whether he's landing in the middle of Manhattan or he's stepping off the tarmac and at JFK. And just has a good look around. Is like, I am going to take over all of this.
Okay,
I love to see him compete against Tony Stark or or Doctor Doom, just because it's like F you, I could do it better.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, he would be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to see him there. I'd love to see an ego off between Doom and Lex.
Yes, yes.
Oh my god, that'd be terrific, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to think which hero would be his like
Nemesis?
Achilles. Yeah, who at Marvel? Like who's the Superman to Marvel?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where like you could, the Sentry doesn't fit the same mold, obviously.
No.
Hyperion doesn't fit the same mold.
Right.
If you're just talking power sets, but I mean, if you're not talking power sets, there's not really anybody. Again,
it's not Gladiator, right?
No,
like,
no, definitely not.
Yeah, no, it's somebody whose like ideals are, represents the same thing.
The other thing is, I think it'd be interesting to see Lex there, but just from the standpoint of most of the time that we see Lex, everyone knows what he's about.
Yeah.
So this would be a clear, like, I have no one has any clear indication of what I'm about at all.
Right.
So he could choose whatever, choose to be or however he wants to be at first, and then, put his plan in motion, or he could put his plan in motion for months or weeks at a time, and no one would know anything until it's too late.
Yeah. No, these are good picks.
You know what?
Good.
I think what would mess him up, and this is only because it's the only tangent I can see.
Okay.
The Hulk.
Oh yeah.
That's the only. It's like a wild card that he just can't manipulate.
But you know what though? Him and Banner, I think, interacting would be interesting too.
Sure.
Yeah. And him. Yeah.
So yes.
No, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Oh, him and Reed. Oh
yeah. We want to work with him and find out he's not about science. He's about self. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's some fun here.
Yes.
Yeah. There's fun to be had there. Yeah. Good ones. All right, Clifton. Round 2.
So I'm bringing on the bad guys as well.
Cool.
It's fun to me. It's fun with the bad guys.
It is fun with the bad guys.
Yes.
And this one ends up with a lot of the same stuff that Frank was talking about on his. So I'm bringing Dr. Doom to DC.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ooh.
So we get like that way we'd also get the Dr. Doom versus Lex stuff.
Yeah.
But I just think, there's not quite like in DC, we got science villains and we've got magic villains.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of magic villains.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't have quite someone that bridges the science and the magic like Dr. Doom does.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I just think it would be really interesting. Again, like I was thinking of it in reverse. I was thinking of like the Lex and like Lex having to deal with Dr. Doom and what that would be like just happening in the DC universe instead of the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
My pick from DC to Marvel is Joker.
Okay.
And again, like Hulk's my chaotic good that I'm taking from Marvel to DC. Joker's the chaotic evil.
Okay.
It's going from DC to Marvel. And Marvel, like, of course, Joker's so popular. Marvel's had some attempts at Joker-ish type characters.
Right.
But like none stick the same way. And I just like to see the Marvel heroes trying to deal with what the chaos the Joker would bring.
Right.
That was on my list.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was definitely.
Okay. No, these are good picks.
Do you have someone that Clifton, anyone just real quick, anyone that you think the Joker would like glom onto?
Like target, like Batman? Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Okay. That was my only question.
But you definitely need one because Joker needs that obsession.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the thing I was going to ask you about Doom too. Was the idea of like what's Dr. Doom without Reed Richards? Like that's like his one of his reasons for getting up in the morning is I'm going to mess with Reed Richards today. So
right. And again, like in DC, you've got like a lot of smart people, but I don't know if Doom would instantly have that hatred attraction to them like he does to Reed.
Right.
Yeah. Who would Joker latch on to? Like, I'm just trying to think of like who would greet him in the Marvel universe and be like, oh, they look fun.
Right. Like
Right.
who would he want
You
to be
know?
playing his joke song?
Yeah.
Right.
To me, no, not Daredevil.
No, but it was funny. That was exactly what I was thinking too in my head. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Daredevil,
Yeah.
maybe.
Because Daredevil is very serious. He's a very
Yep.
serious man.
He is.
Yeah.
I was thinking Thing also for some reason. I don't know why. Like, you know,
Mhm.
yeah.
No,
No,
that'd be
these are-
difficult to see who he would hate or who he would try to
Like Target.
dishevel, or target.
Yeah.
That'd be difficult to think about.
So I'm gonna switch mine around. I was saving this one for last, but I'm gonna do this one now because I also had Doom to DC.
Okay.
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 What was some of your reasoning?
So, like virtually the same thing. Like somebody that can bridge science and magic. And so I had very quickly like, oh, I want to see him and Lex in a scene together. But I
Right.
wanted to see him learn about the DC universe. I thought that would be very fun. And as we see him learn of like the Medusa mask and the Dr. Fate
Right.
helmet and the Source Wall, and like what is he gonna do with when he learns there's such thing as an anti-life equation?
Right.
You know, and I
Right.
just thought there's like so many characters he could write. There's Constantine he could play off of. There's Trigon he could play off of. Like, there's so many fun things to do with him, I think. So he was also my Marvel to DC. And kind of along the same lines of one that you said, Frank, I picked Amanda Waller to Marvel because I just want to see what her and Fury would be like together, right?
Well, my question is, would you make her? Would you booch Fury to make her the new head of Shield?
I don't know. I like it though.
Okay,
I like it.
That was my. As soon as you mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love to see what Amanda Waller would do with Shield.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would buy again. I would buy that too.
Yeah. Those are fun ones,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So yeah. So I jumped. It's funny. We're all kind of thinking along the same lines here, and we all are gravitating towards the bad guys as being
Somewhat,
fun.
yes.
So this is fun. So all right. So we're gonna go around. We're gonna do our last round, but first, if you like the show, you could check out all of our episodes on YouTube at letmeknowhowitis.com. Just please, however you find us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Finally, if you have any ideas for a topic on the show, send it our way on Twitter or in the comments. Our Twitter handle is our show's initials, LMKHII. All right. Best for last.
Oh, can we do best stuff before we do best for last? Because I had stuff that was just swimming in my head. You guys got to discuss it.
If you want to do a quick lightning round. Just
okay. I was gonna do Gorilla Grodd for Graviton.
okay.
I was gonna do Batman for Daredevil. I just want to see Daredevil in Gotham and Batman in Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
I was gonna do Joker for either Punisher or Green Goblin.
Okay.
And I was also gonna do. I was caught between Beast Boy or Static Shock for Spider-Man.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I can see those.
Yeah.
You just got me though, because I had a moment where I thought Batman versus Kingpin, and I was like, "Oh, that's it."
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, but for my number one pick, I have to say the Turtles in both.
Okay.
It's a wild card. It's a wild card
Yes.
pick.
I almost went here too. This is hilarious.
Yes, I would want them in any universe. Just
Okay.
swap, jump into different universes and try to make sense of the chaoticness that they have to deal with and them dealing with,
Right.
them trying to do good, them trying to hide, them trying to figure out who the heroes, who the villains are, where do they fit in? Are they mutants? Are they aliens?
Yeah.
Whichever
That'd be fun.
people they deal with, because the chaoticness of their universe is all encompassing. So I love to see how their presence would shake up anything.
Yeah, and I mean, and they're already kind of like jokey tied to Daredevil anyway.
I was gonna say, are they gonna have a conversation with Matt Murdock about shared origins?
And so it would be fun.
Wouldn't it be crazy?
It'd be fun to pair them off of Daredevil's world and have like the Foot Clan versus the Hand.
Yes.
Like either in a gang war or either teaming up, whatever,
And Stick and Splinter.
Yeah,
Yes.
Stick and Splinter, Stick versus Shredder. Like
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we do have something similar already with Batman and the Turtles, but it wasn't as immersive, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to see them dive with it a little bit more, you know, just to be like, I would like to see what they think of Superman, like them being in awe of what he can do and wishing, you know, they had a Superman in their world type of deal, you know?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I think also the natural thing for Turtles and DC is like put them with the Teen Titans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what
That's
I mean?
what I want to say.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they're still teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to see like Beast Boy play off of Mikey. And,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Tommy with awesome ones tonight. All right, Frank.
Yeah. My number one choice would be. I thought about this for a while, and I thought just the idea of having Metamorpho go to Marvel.
Okay.
Ooh.
Just from a visual standpoint, I think him standing next to like if he was to join the Avengers, or that was my first pick for him, was the idea of going to that team. And just visually and from power set, they don't really have anything quite like him.
Right.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't.
In that universe, there's no real Element Man. There's nobody that does that sort of what he does.
Right. It has control of all the elements in one man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
And the idea of what it would be like if he encounters Cap Shield, and it's like I don't know what this element is. I don't know either one of these things are. And then that's something that he could possibly, a form of it could come back with him. I mean, obviously there's a lot of legal stuff there, but he could find a way. That was my one choice. I thought just Metamorpho in general, just the idea of, because we don't get a lot of that with Rex Mason after the fact, where he gets the Orb of Ra and becomes Metamorpho. It's sort of like, oh, it's a downer, a Metamorpho. But I think the idea of Metamorpho being an explorer again could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right. Because he started out as like an adventure, Indiana Jones adventure-ish type.
Absolutely. And I think the idea of like, I'm gonna check out this whole brand new universe as Metamorpho could be, I think it'd be a fun adventure.
Yeah.
I think it might be something the character actually could use, as opposed to be like, oh, bummer, I'm a Metamorpho. And it sucks to be Metamorpho, all the time, what we normally get with the character.
Right.
And then for my second choice, for DC to Marvel. Oh, that's my DC to Marvel. That was DC to Marvel. Who would I have? I'd like to see The Thing go to DC.
Okay.
Okay.
Do Marvel team up with DC with DC characters.
Like DC 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, Cliff. The DC 2-in-1 with The Thing and a different character each month. Just to have it be, sometimes it'll be Ben versus that. You have those cool characters, those cool covers of, The Thing and Superman flying each other. Or like they're going to get into a fight, or it might be him teaming up and they're best buddies. They're going out for a drink.
Thing teams up with Swamp Thing.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I would love to see that. I think, not that I wouldn't want to see Spider-Man do that, but I think Ben would be, again, that whole, we're going to explore stuff much more than, and again, you have like The Thing, and like you were saying, if Etrigan was still in the DC universe, The Thing and Etrigan would be a cool team up.
Yeah.
Being cool. Kirby characters. So that's what I would go. I would go with Ben.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Thing and Mr. Terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of writes itself. Thing.
Yeah, there's exactly. Yeah. There's a million things you could do with Ben Grimm in the Marvel universe.
Right.
So,
yeah. That's it. Yeah. Those are good ones.
I'm sorry, in the DC universe. He's already in the Marvel universe. What am I saying?
There'd be so many people that would remind him of home, like Thing and Firestorm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
This feels so familiar.
Yeah, sure thing. Hothead. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, Hothead. Yeah, it works for you too. Sure.
Also, like, just to see Thing and Bibbo like talk baseball.
Yes. Of course.
Like, would be really cool too. Yeah. And yeah, and Metamorpho also, you got me going when you hit, like, when you put vibranium and adamantium, and like, oh yeah, there's something there too.
Yeah, there's just stuff that's in the Marvel universe that's unique there. That as a man of elements, he was like, oh, I don't even know what this is. So,
right. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, those are really cool.
Thanks.
All right, Clifton, who you got?
All right, so this one, like I talked about, I swung big instead of going for the B-listers. Superman to Marvel.
Okay.
All right.
But I'm already going to announce who's swapping places, because that's what it's about, and it's Spider-Man to DC.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love to see Spider-Man in DC.
I would too.
And the reason is because, like, they did the stuff with Super Soldier and Amalgam, combining them with Captain America is who they saw as the analogous. But like, there's a lot of analogies between Superman and Spider-Man too. So this is one where I actually kind of went for some people that I think do have a same feeling, but they definitely serve different purposes in their worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would like to see those purposes change. So I'd like to see, like Marvel, we mentioned before, they've had some Superman-ish characters. They've dabbled in Superman a few times, Hyperion, Sentry, but both of them have like twists or hooks that aren't like a straight earnest Superman. And I'd like to see Marvel with like a straight earnest Superman, but also one like Marvel has big, powerful cosmic people, but they don't have big, powerful cosmic people that will just stop a mugger.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in his neighborhood, in his street, and Superman does.
Yeah.
Superman does that in Metropolis. So we'd have like your friendly neighborhood Superman.
Yeah.
Like in New York.
There's your title.
Hanging out, which I think is a fun thing. And I would like to see how Marvel the other characters would deal with that.
Friendly neighborhood Superman. Yeah.
There's your title.
You're right, Frank. Yeah. Well, I think also just seeing Jameson play off of Superman too, who's like, he doesn't wear a mask. I trust him. And it would be fun.
the whole flip on him. Yeah. But to me, what you're saying with Spider-Man, I would love to see the Teen Titans with Spider-Man and him being normal, like wanting to take off the mask and wanting to hang out with them. Yeah. Just being with kids of his own age with powers, Yeah.
Definitely like that too. But some of the other analogies I was thinking of is like you got Clark Kent now can be a new reporter at the Daily Bugle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker can be photographer at the Daily Planet.
Yeah. With Jimmy Olsen. Yeah.
Jimmy. So now you got Spider-Man's pal Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Clifton, these are awesome.
Oh,
he would again be like Spider-Man. He'd be able to hang out with somebody close to his age. Yeah. It's like doing stuff with them. Like the Titans. Jimmy Olsen works.
I was going to say in some of the Byrne issues, or it might be Byrne or Cockrum issues of X-Men, like Clark Kent and Lois are in the background. So it's not totally unheard of that they could have been, been a stringing reporter for that. Well, but yeah, it'd be in my pull list. I buy it all.
But Clark up against Norman?
Sure.
Like I was like another business guy, who's trying to take over the world here.
Right. Well, the other thing is you could also have there's all the mystical threats. You could have Superman versus Dormammu or the Executioner and the Enchantress,
or Superman versus Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. Yeah. You just opened up to all the Thor guys too. That made me
Ooh, I also like to see Superman versus Namor. Just different stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was mine.
No, those are good. Those are really good.
The big swing.
All right. Tommy, thank you. I have Namor going to DC.
Nice.
I have Namor going to DC just because I want to see what his conversation with Aquaman would be like.
Okay.
We're like what Atlantis is like there.
Yeah.
And how it's not necessarily right. Like it's a widely known kingdom, and he's part of the Justice League, and it's not so antagonistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think also seeing Namor play off the Justice League, where like he just like I just don't think he would have any of that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Superman and all of them would be like, great, hey, like we got this thing called the Justice League, and we meet in space, and we'd love to have you. And I think he'd be like, no, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not doing this. Right. Like,
sure.
So okay. So Namor to DC, and then I had Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle to Marvel.
Okay.
Because the thought here was I would like to see him and Spider-Man play off of each other. Mm-hmm. Specifically Peter, in the sense that Jaime's got the scarab, this thing from space that gives him powers and stuff like that. And I would like him to play off of Spider-Man, who also at one time had this thing from space that grafted itself to him, and he'd be like, look, like, I'm just saying, this happened to me, and it ended up being not so great.
He tried to warn him to take it off.
You got to be careful about something like that.
Yeah. So it was like Spider-Man as a mentor character, a little bit like playing off of him, but it did also like open up. Like I would like to see him and Miles play off of each other too, which then also got to the point like, has Miles ever had the alien costume yet?
I
I don't think so.
I don't-
Somebody
I don't
needs to
know.
write that story.
Yeah,
Somebody needs to do the alien costume with Miles Morales.
Right.
sure.
A symbiote.
Yeah. I would buy the crap out of that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people would. But yeah, but those were my two. Not my first round. This is going to be my second round. But you know, since you brought up Doom, I was like, I got to take the segue. So let's do it. So, and I think Jaime's got a lot of, like, you know, Nova, the teenage Nova, not the Richard Rider, but Sam. I thought there was some connection there that would be fun too. So yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, that could
No,
work.
great choice.
Thank you. Yeah. Plus, I just want to see Namor just be a jerk to everybody.
in DCU.
Just be rude to everyone in DC.
Oh, I can see him be like, "How come you're not ruling the Earth, Aquaman?" Or yeah,
Yeah. Like, you're a king and you're not even the leader of this team. What is the matter with it, right?
Yes, yes.
You could be so much more. Yeah.
Oh,
I think that there would be some fun to be had with him and Aquaman.
Yeah, wait. Your mom is from where, and your dad is from where?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So very cool.
So yeah, this was fun. This is a fun episode. Okay, listeners, hit us up on Twitter or in the comments. Let us know which characters you would like to see swapped out. As always, we'll post links and examples to everything we talk about on letmeknowhowitis.com. Just please remember to like us and follow us on social media, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening.